the reason why Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, was no longer cool with his buddy Epstein had nothing to do with him being a prolific human sex trafficker of underage girls, but because, according to Trump, he stole the help. And that is a no-no. Here it is.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. But just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Put it up full mass. Donald Trump has spoken about this now at least twice on record, maybe more. In a recent conversation, he called those workers the help and said his buddy Epstein stole the help. Trump now says his friendship with the deceased human sex trafficker ended in 2004 because the disgraced financier stole young women from the spa at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida. In Scotland, Trump first said he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for stealing employees. Then on Air Force One later, he was returning to the White House. He surprisingly revealed that he knew the employees Epstein was poaching were in fact young women. He was then asked, quote, Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons include Virginia Giuffre? Quote, I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah, he stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know, none whatsoever. Trump continued. Now, before I continue, the concept of stealing a human being can only be contextualized properly in the arena of criminality. It is called kidnapping. But because there is no kidnapping, for Trump in 2025 to be talking about an employee with free will as being stolen from him, well, he's treating this employee as if, well, she's a slave, because that's how they would reference the transaction during slave era times in America. Because according to the slave master or plantation owner, the person had no rights for where they went. So his entire contextualization, from calling individuals who are his employees the help to saying that another human being stole, is indicative of him believing that the person who worked for him was in fact his property. Do you understand? This human being was never his property, no matter what age she may have been. She had the free will choice to work where she chose according to the law. And if her free will was in fact infringed upon, we have a criminal enterprise. Put it up full mass. The young 16-year-old. Epstein and his associate, Ms. Maxwell, who has been in the news again, lured her away from Trump's Mar-a-Lago spa. You see, she died by suicide in April, years after filing a civil and criminal lawsuit against both Epstein and Maxwell, and also accused Prince Andrew of sexual abuse. That's different from a previous White House statement on why Trump and Epstein's friendship ended. Let me read it to you. Quote, "The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep," it said. "Trump has never admitted he knew Epstein and Maxwell were trafficking young girls. He has denied knowing about Epstein's criminal enterprises. The Epstein scandal swirling around Trump has continued to intensify after the Justice Department earlier this month decided to close the entire case in reference to Epstein. The move came after Trump and many of his inner circle spent years stoking conspiracy theories around Epstein's death in jail, allegedly by suicide in 2019, and about his reputed client list. Trump supporters went wild after the announcement, attacking Trump and his administration for what they saw as a betrayal and the backtracking on the campaign promise to release the files. The controversy has only continued to worsen with Trump and has shown no signs of going away despite Trump's repeated attempts at distraction. What is his latest distraction? Trump is reportedly considering a pardon of Sean Diddy Combs after he was found guilty of prostitution charges. According to a Tuesday report from Deadline, sources within the administration said Trump has given serious thought to pardoning the music mogul. The irony is that Diddy is guilty of a lot of crimes. They just could not prove RICO. So Donald Trump is okay with criminals. Donald Trump is okay with you actually being on tape beating a woman. He's okay with that. He will give you a pardon. Hell, I don't even know if Diddy and his defense attorney requested a pardon officially yet or not. But Trump is okay with this, no issue. MAGA. At some point, you got to realize you have fallen in love with a charlatan. This individual has never been what he has said. But here's the thing. You were okay with all of his lies and really believed he was telling the truth about Epstein and transparency and being an advocate for you. He lied about the wall. He lied about cutting your taxes. He lied about the economy. He lied about you having the best America possible. He lied about all of it. But all of a sudden, you thought he had more clarity and would tell the truth about this. Doesn't make sense. Yasmin, thoughts here?
Yeah. I was going to say this is all getting ridiculous, but it's been ridiculous. It's been silly. And he keeps incriminating himself. There has been a well-documented history of Trump's relationship with Epstein. He's been on camera saying that Epstein was a great guy who, like him, loves younger women. We have audio from each of them confirming that they were not just friends, but close friends. We have deposition footage of Epstein protecting Trump and pleading the fifth. And there are a lot of speculated reasons as to why Trump and Epstein had their big falling out. Trump says that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, but there's no proof of that happening. Epstein, by the way, he was never a member of the club at Mar-a-Lago. He was only ever just there as a guest of Trump's. Trump is saying here that Epstein stole his underage worker from him. You likened him to a slave owner, Doc, and I do not dispute that characterization, but I also see narcissism here. Narcissists do see people as their property. They claim ownership over others, and they see others as an extension of themselves. You have to be a narcissist to speak the way that Trump does about other people. And you certainly have to see people as property whenever you're trafficking them literally as property, like cattle. So yeah, now we're hearing that Trump is going to pardon Diddy and he's going to pardon Ghislaine and he's going to incriminate Obama for treason. But Ghislaine, that's interesting. She's apparently now the victim in all of this. And that is a very deliberate recharacterization of Ghislaine Maxwell that we're actively witnessing happening all over right-wing media right now. The thing with Ghislaine is that, Trump has now got Republicans out making the rounds on Fox News and other outlets like that, disputing the fact that Ghislaine was actually taken in during Trump's first term in 2019. At this point, they're just outright denying a very, very provable fact that Trump was the president in 2019. Was he or was he not the president?
Right.
That is what they're like. That's how ridiculous this is all getting. But they want to make Ghislaine a victim so that MAGA can rest assured that, she wasn't involved. She was the victim in all this. Everything is on Epstein. Trump is absolved. And if he does give Ghislaine that pardon, it's so obvious what that will be, but it's just enough to where the MAGA base can find some kind of solace and comfort in that their guy still did nothing. They have a remarkable ability to just see what they want to see and not see anything else. They are more than happy to admit that Bill Clinton's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was very, very sketchy, very questionable, could be a lot worse things than that. But they won't even look at Trump, who also had a very similar relationship with Epstein, who has pictures of him with Epstein. And the thing is, here on the left, I don't think anybody is out here trying to defend Bill Clinton. If Bill Clinton had a similar relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, then yeah, that's also a problem. And we would like to see that prosecuted or whatever, course of action needs to come from that. But, the MAGA right, they will not see that Trump is very much involved with whatever Epstein had going on.
That's right. And some, excuse me, some of the MAGA right, they are seeing the light. And then you have some of the commentators, ironically, continuing to blame people like Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi is in control of nothing. Everything that's happening is being directed and orchestrated by Donald Trump. Everyone knows that. All right, we'll bring updates as they come.